The last time you filled up your tank, did you realize that the liquid flowing into your car has been sitting deep underground since before dinosaurs even walked the earth? We are not talking about millions of years, we are talking about hundreds of millions of years. It spent hundreds of millions of years in total darkness under extreme heat and pressure, followed by 160 years of human engineering, and then a 3-minute stop at the corner gas station before going straight into your tank. You are holding something in your hand that is older than any creature that ever lived on this planet, and you only paid a few bucks for it. But before we get into that, let's debunk a myth that almost all of us believed as kids. Welcome to Mysteries of Simple Things, the channel where everyday secrets are uncovered and explained. Oil does not come from dinosaurs. It is not dinosaur bones, it is not dinosaur carcasses, and it has nothing to do with dinosaurs at all. The term fossil fuel has led generations of people to imagine a giant T-Rex getting buried and slowly turning into oil. The reality is actually much more interesting. Most of the world's crude oil formed from tiny sea algae and plankton that lived in ancient oceans between 100 and 252 million years ago. When they died, they sank to the ocean floor and were buried under layers of mud and sediment. They endured massive pressure and heat for tens of millions of years until they turned into what we call crude oil. Dinosaurs did not even exist when most of this oil was being formed. The next time you pump gas, know that you are using the energy of ancient sea creatures that humans have never even seen. What is even weirder, scientists recently discovered that crude oil still contains fragments of DNA from those ancient marine organisms. Crude oil is actually a biological diary of the Earth, a memory bank of life from hundreds of millions of years ago. You aren't just burning fuel, you are burning history, from sludge to gold. So what does this hundreds of millions of years of history look like when it first comes out of the ground? It looks like something you definitely do not want to touch. Crude oil is thick, dark, and smells like something you accidentally stepped on in an old parking lot. Looking at it, you would never imagine that this stuff becomes the gas in your tank, the fuel that puts planes in the sky, the plastic in your water bottle, or even the shiny coating on the chocolate bar you ate last night. Yes, chocolate, we will get back to that. First, let's go back to 1859 in a small town called Titusville, Pennsylvania. Let's meet a man that almost everyone was sure was crazy. Edwin Drake was not a scientist. He was not an engineer or geologist. He was a retired railroad conductor with poor health and no special expertise in mining. Even his title of colonel was fake. The company that hired him made up the title just to make him look more credible when he knocked on the doors of landowners in Pennsylvania. A man with a borrowed title and no real degree was trying to convince people he could drill into the ground and find oil. In the summer of 1859, people called his plan Drake's Folly. Neighbors laughed, experts shook their heads, and investors pulled out. But on August 27, 1859, the drill reached a depth of 69.5 feet, and oil bubbled up. A trillion-dollar industry was born from a moment the world called a joke: the science of the kitchen. At first, the only thing people wanted from crude oil was kerosene for lamps. This was before electricity, and kerosene burned brighter, cleaner, and cheaper than animal fat or whale oil. In fact, it was kerosene from crude oil that saved whales from extinction in the 19th century because people no longer needed to hunt them for lamp oil. The thing that really changed everything was the car. When Henry Ford brought the Model T to the masses in the early 20th century, the demand for gasoline exploded. Refiners faced a problem: natural crude oil contains a lot of heavy parts that cannot be used as gas. How do you get enough gas out of something that is mostly not gas? The answer starts with something simple: heat. When you heat crude oil to about 700 degrees Fahrenheit in a large furnace, it vaporizes. That vapor then enters a tower over 100 feet tall that you can see at any refinery. Inside that tower, a miracle of physics happens. Different molecules condense at different heights. Light molecules rise to the top and become liquid petroleum gas or gasoline. Heavier molecules condense at lower levels and become diesel kerosene or lubricants. The stuff left at the bottom, the heaviest and thickest part, becomes the asphalt used to pave the highways you drive on every day. This is called fractional distillation. It works exactly like a whiskey still in Kentucky, just on a much bigger scale with a different result. Breaking history in a lab. Even after distillation, engineers still had too much heavy oil and not enough gas. Society needed gas. The market needed gas. But crude oil stubbornly gave too much heavy stuff. The solution cracking, literally. Chemists developed a process where large, heavy hydrocarbon molecules are broken into smaller molecules using high heat pressure and special catalysts. This is where the story gets cinematic. The year was 1942. World War II was at its peak, and the United States had a deadly problem: not enough high-quality aviation fuel. The U.S. Air Force had planes, but those planes needed high-octane gas to fly effectively in combat. Without it, the American air advantage would disappear. 4 engineers from Exxon sat in a lab in New Jersey and found the answer. They perfected the fluid catalytic cracking process, or FCC, where heavy oil is hit with a fine powder catalyst at extreme heat, breaking large molecules into high-quality light fuel faster than ever before. The result: in just 3 years, U.S. aviation fuel production jumped 6,000%. 4 men in a lab changed the course of the war. Today, more than 370 FCC units worldwide produce nearly 500 million gallons of gas every day. Every time you fill up, you are benefiting from an invention born out of wartime. The magic of physics. Here's the weirdest thing most people don't know about this process. You put 42 gallons of crude oil in, and you get 45 gallons of product out. You get more than you started with. It is not magic or cheating. It is because the products after refining are lighter and less dense than the original crude oil, so they take up more space. Engineers call this processing gain. In 2023, the average processing gain at U.S. refineries was 6.3%. The refinery is actually expanding the oil. From one 42-gallon barrel, you get nearly 20 gallons of gas, over 12 gallons of diesel, and about 4.5 gallons of jet fuel, plus lubricants and asphalt. Nothing is wasted. The heaviest parts become the road under your tires or raw materials for thousands of products. Oil is everywhere. There are over 6,000 everyday products that come from petroleum. The shirt you are wearing, if it is polyester or nylon, comes from oil. Your toothpaste contains polyethylene glycol from oil. Your perfume contains synthetic compounds from oil. The pills you take have a shiny coating made of petroleum resin. Even the paint on your walls is more than 1/3 plastic resin from oil. And that chocolate bar. The shiny coating on many commercial chocolates contains paraffin wax from petroleum, which keeps it from melting at room temperature. The vanilla flavor in most industrial vanilla ice cream is synthetic vanillin extracted from petroleum compounds. We don't just burn oil, we wear it, eat it, brush our teeth with it, and put it on our faces every morning. A massive hidden world. To move all of this, the U.S. has over 19,000 miles of oil pipelines underground and under the sea. That is enough to circle the Earth nearly 8 times. The Colonial Pipeline alone runs 5,500 miles from Texas to New York. It is an invisible, sleepless network running 24 hours a day under your feet. All of this starts with wells that are incredibly deep. Some modern wells are drilled deeper than 2,400 feet, which is more than 4 times the depth of the Grand Canyon. The pressure inside those oil pockets can exceed 5,000 psi, which is 300 times the pressure in your car tires. Inside the refinery, some parts reach 1,100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is close to the temperature of flowing lava. This is not just engineering, it is magic controlled by math and chemistry. Before 1907, if you wanted to buy gas in America, you had to go to a pharmacy, not a gas station. Not a gas station. Gasoline was sold as an industrial chemical in small cans. No one thought of building a place just to sell car fuel. The first dedicated gas station opened in Seattle in 1907. Today, there are about 145,000 gas stations in the U.S. In 1 century, an entire industry grew from nothing. Here is a detail that might change how you look at your gas bill. In 1929, gas was 21 cents a gallon. Filling up a Ford Model A cost about $2. That sounds cheap, right? But if you adjust for inflation, $2 in 1929 is over $39 today. Gas was never really cheap, it just seemed that way. The distilled past. So when does this all end? The honest answer is that no one knows for sure. But one thing is certain. No matter what energy source the world moves to in the future, the legacy Edwin Drake left behind in that 69-foot hole in 1859 will be part of modern life for a long time. It is not just about gas, it is the 6,000 other products. It is the plastic, the medicine, the paint, the fabric, and the chocolate. The next time you pull into a gas station, look at the pump for a second before you pick it up. The liquid about to flow into your car used to be tiny sea creatures on the bottom of an ancient ocean. It spent 100 million years under massive heat and pressure. Then, a man with a fake title that no one believed in drilled it up. Then, 4 engineers in a wartime lab learned how to turn it into the best fuel the world has ever known. Then, 190,000 miles of invisible pipes brought it to you. It is not just gas. It is geological time distilled into energy, and you just put it in your car to go buy some bread.